Hi everyone. So today we are going to talk about logistic fraud and more specifically how BACKMARKET was able to use Dust to empower our fraud expert team to fight against it. First of all, I'm Aurélien. So as I said, I'm AI Engineering Manager and I'm leading the AI transformation at BACKMARKET. And I will be presenting to you today this use case and what we did at BACKMARKET. And then Alban is going to explain you a bit more specifically how easily you can build a similar solution with this tool. But let's start maybe with the context. And let's discuss a little bit what is the logistic fraud. This is a very common problem for e-commerce platform, and for example, it represents when customers try to buy very expensive items and ask for refunds, and they don't send the item back. This can happen in two different ways. The forward way, which is basically from seller to customers, and this is when the customer says, for example, that they did not receive the package or the package was empty, or it can be the other way around. For example, when from customers to sellers, when the customer says there is a technical issue with the item and they want to ask for a refund, and they temper the shipping label to make sure that the empty package they send is not arriving to the seller. So why is it important for us? Basically, we estimate that today 0.3% of the items that we are shipping or dealing with at BACKMARKET are potential fraud cases, or are fraud cases in fact. So it can represent a very high amount of GMV loss for us and revenue loss for us. The issue is that it's not a simple problem. You can not only put into place a complex and deep verification process for each refund request, because it can create a very high level of strong detractors. And in fact, this is something that happened for BACKMARKET in the past, where we had a high level of fraud. So we put into place a process which was not very easy for customers, and we got a backlash, public backlash, where people were starting to complain about our care system and how complex it was to get a refund because of that. That was a few years ago, since we evolved a lot, and now we have an expert team of people dedicated to that. And they are able today to find very clear signals about how to detect this kind of fraud patterns in the claims we have. The only issue is that until recently, they were limited in the way they would be able to do this investigation. It was taking a lot of time for them. For example, they were relying a lot on simple SQL queries. And in the past, to make it better, they would rely on engineering resources, like engineering teams, to build this solution for them, or build ML models for that. And that's why since we introduced Dust a few months ago to the entire enterprise, and they wanted to try out what they can do with this tool to automate part of this work and to make it more efficient. But before looking at the solution in details, let's have a very quick look at how the logistic fraud pipeline works today for us. This is a simplified view for the purpose of the demonstration, but basically what you see is that we start from, on the left side, we start from the pool of customer help requests related to refunds. So these are basically people who are asking for a refund, and we have a first level of scan here. This is a simple scan based on SQL rules, and we try to identify suspicious cases. As you can imagine, this is not something which is very precise, and we end up with a high volume of claims to be reviewed. This is why we have a first level of review by BPO agents, a pool of BPO agents, which is looking at each one of these claims and applying some light investigation process that allows them to detect very fast which are the obvious false positive, and which are the ones that we can trigger a more heavy process verification. But they also have the ability for cases which are not fitting this kind of light investigation process. They can escalate it to our expert fraud team. And this team, as I said, has the ability to investigate much more deeper and find how to the real fraudsters. But the problem for us is that this investigation process, it takes several hours to sometimes a few days. And as you can imagine, it's not something that scales easily with BACKMARKET's business. So they wanted to try out Dust for that. And this is why they came up with the idea of creating this kind of a fraud orchestrator agent. The idea is to mimic this investigative process with a Gen AI-based agent. What it looks like, basically, I can only put some extract here because of a privacy reason, but basically they have a series of checks specified on a specific element of the case, where they want to get a level of risk, and more importantly, for each one of them, they want a level explanation for these cases. For example, they want to understand why this specific item has been classified as critical. And this is why Gen AI is very good for, because it provides that it has this ability to not only look at numbers, but also extract insights from it and provide some explainability behind that. In these specific cases where the agent looked at a refund request, it identified, for example, that the address where the item was received differs a lot from the address where it was sent back. One was from Spain, the other was from Ireland. It also identified the fact that this customer has a very high level of refund requests. Half of them were related to refunds, so which is another very strong signal for fraud. So all these pieces together are useful for the fraud team to very quickly decide, okay, this is something we need to investigate further, this is a potential fraud case, or this is something that we can dismiss. And so the nice thing here is that the fraud team was able to build that autonomously. And the way they built it, they created we call that an orchestrator agent because it relies on a multi-agent architecture. And the orchestrator agent basically knows all the different steps it has to perform, what is the end goal it has to do, and more importantly, what are the different sub-agents it can rely on. And so there is a series of expert agents which are dedicated to check a specific element in each one of the cases. I don't want to go into the detail of each one of them, but you can see, for example, some logical elements you want to check. For example, you want to look at the customer history. As I said, the refund rate for this customer, how long has it been on the platform, what is the level of GMV for this customer. You have also checks related to tracking incidents, trying to see if there were some potential label manipulation. There are checks related to payment incidents. The last one I wanted to go more into detail is the conversation pattern topic, because this is something that this team was not able to do easily in the past. And this is something that Gen AI was really able to enable. Basically, what the fraud team uncovered is the fact that in a lot of cases, in the conversation, fraudsters use the same first message or the same kind of first message. And so there is this kind of patterns in terms of first messages. And they wanted to create some kind of a repository of patterns where they wanted to confront and try to see if these claims are matching them. If you try to do it manually, it's very time-consuming, of course. And if you try to do it with SQL, for example, it's also not something that doesn't work very well because regex are not great for that. And this is where Gen AI is super useful. And the nice thing about that is that, as always with fraud, the domain is evolving very fast. Fraudsters are evolving very fast, coming up with new kind of patterns and templates. And now, when the fraud team identifies a new kind of type of message, they only have to update a Confluence page, and bam, it's directly taken into account by the system. They don't have to go through a specific engineering team to update the solution. They are fully autonomous on that. And as an outcome, today, since the system has been launched, they've been starting to see how many more fraud cases they were able to process and identify. And I estimate that over the coming year, we are going to be able to prevent more than 1 million euro of fraud cases, which is very impactful for us, of course, in terms of revenue. But the very interesting thing for me, as an AI transformation manager, is that they were able to do this autonomously. They were able to build this solution very quickly. It took them roughly 1 week of continuous work. And today, when they need to update it, it takes them less than 1 day. Sometimes a few hours just to update the agent instruction. So it's something that gives them a lot of autonomy. And if you think about your organization, you have a lot of experts team that have these kind of specific use cases. And this is a clear example of how Dust enables these domain experts to become AI builder. They are able to solve their own problem with Gen AI without relying on engineering resources, which are always a little bit restricted in terms of bandwidth, of course. I'm going to pass the mic now to Alban, who is going to demo you how you can very easily do that on your side.
Thank you so much, Aurélien. All right, so basically this is a very advanced use case for Dust, but I'm going to try to show you a smaller use case to actually show how to build an agent on a platform like Dust. Dust is what we call an operating system for the AI era. The goal of it is to be able to create custom agents without having to code. So it embeds itself where you work, meaning that you're going to be able to create custom agents that embed themselves in your existing workflows that are in the places where your employees already work. So it could be Slack, it could be Teams, it could be Zendesk, it could be directly in their browser like Chrome. And it's going to be plugged to any model you want. So you can use OpenAI, you can use Claude and Gemini, Meta, Mistral, et cetera, et cetera. And if you look at the bottom right, then you can see that your company and data knowledge is also connected to Dust. So any single one of your agents is going to be able to use the specific amount of data that it needs. Not to use too much, not to use not enough, to have the right information and find the needle in the haystack every time. How do you build an agent? In minutes, literally minutes, and I'll show that right after. Basically, you give it a set of instructions. It's called the prompt. You might have heard of that name before. You give it knowledge, so you're going to plug in a bunch of knowledge and tools that Dust proposes to you. It's very easy. You just click and point. And then you can plug tools. So semantic search, meaning you can search for meaning and not for keywords. Structured extraction, so you can extract a bunch of data from unstructured data like conversation or customer receipts or things like that. You can do database queries, you can do visualization, like have dashboards that built in front of you in seconds. You can web search, have reasoning, etc., etc. So let's do a short demo. It's the first time I'm doing a demo with a video, so I hope the video is going to launch. I don't know if you guys need to do anything. One more? Okay, cool. One more again? I can see the video, but it's not launching. It's this one. Can you guys click on it, maybe? Well, we also sent the actual video. Let's hope we're going to be able to do that demo. All right. Sorry about that, guys. It's frustrating to actually see it blurry here, but not being able to click on it. So I'm going to keep talking during that time. Basically, what we're going to try to build, if the video ever shows up, is a customer support agent that handles all of your refund requests. So a very small part of what Aurélien just showed. Where basically we feed that agent instructions around how to handle requests depending on how things are asked and what happened with the customer. We're going to feed the customer's data as well. We're going to feed the past tickets to make sure that we can check how past tickets were handled in the same way or not. And we're going to feed a bunch of tools to handle that. So first tool is to be able to have access to the ticketing system to make sure that we receive. Okay, yeah, go for it. Should I click or? To make sure that we have access to the ticketing system. So when we receive a message, an agent is automatically triggered with the right information. And then the agent can also act on that ticketing system. So it's going to be able to write an answer, send the answer, change the status of the ticket, and do whatever it needs, even comment with links or admin back office, pretty much anything. So yeah, time is running, but but it's going to be a bit tougher. So yeah, it's going to be a very simple customer agent, very straightforward. But the goal is, again, to just handle customer refunds. And one of the good things is one of the tools of that agent could be the fraud detection agent. It could wait for an answer from the fraud detection agent to say, okay, this is a fraud or not, so I can decide myself to process the refund or not. If the fraud detection agent has enough capacity to say, we trust it, and we're not losing money by not trusting it, then you can just let your customer support agent say, okay, you can actually handle 100% of the requests. Because for now, how we're doing at Dust for customer support is that we have an agent writing 100% of our drafts. But for now, we consider that it's not good enough to actually send the emails by itself when it's not sure. So it sends some of the emails, but not all of them. And the goal in the next 6 months is to make sure that we don't have to answer at all anymore anything that's not escalated to engineering. Basically anything that's around subscriptions, refunds, how do I do this? Anything that's a bug and that's not working and that should not be happening should be answered by that customer agent. How are we doing on the video, guys? Not gonna happen? Well, we sent both versions. We sent the physical version and the video, the YouTube link. All right, looks like the demo is not gonna happen, but I hope I explained a little bit. Again, instructions, data and knowledge that you plug, so it could be coming from pretty much anywhere. Your Google Drive, your SharePoint, your Confluence, your Jira, Notion. We're connected to pretty much everything. And then tools to actually take action. And that's why we build agents and not assistants. We changed the level of AI in the last year. Last year was all about assistants. So chatbots that could answer you, and that was it. Now AI has moved to agents. So agents are capable of doing things. I call that changing the world, because if you send an email, you change the world, right? Someone has an email in their inbox that they didn't have before. So now agents are capable of actually taking action. They could decide to, I don't know, ring an alarm in a store. They could decide to do a lot of stuff. And so basically, inside of Dust, now you can plug pretty much any. Oh, there we go. I see YouTube coming up on the screen.
You'll get extra time if you need to present the demo. You get extra time.
Sounds good. Well, if you can launch it really quick, yeah, and right here is fine. Cool. So basically, in I don't think it's running. Oh yeah, there we go. Here I'm using an agent called Prompt Coach. So it's an agent that I've built that is helping me build other agents. So it's a coach that will write prompts for me. So I'm just describing what I want. I want to build a customer support agent that will deflect all customer requests around refunds. It should not cite any older customer names. It should search within our old tickets and see how we handle similar refund requests. So that's it. 2 sentences, I hit send, and then the prompt coach agent will write the entire prompt for me. You can see it's pretty long. There's a role, some instructions, and pretty important example outputs. I want to show it what I want to see at the end of the day. So I'm going to paste my instructions right here. Change a few things so it's not just this big blob of text. I can make it look a little bit nicer. And then I'm going to head down and in the knowledge and tools section. And that's where I'm going to try to find all my previous tickets. So I'm going to search for my support tickets, tick the right boxes to link those tickets, and only that to this agent. Again, we don't want the agent to know too much because we want to find a needle in the haystack. We want to find, okay, we had 10 customers that already had this exact question. How did we answer? If I give out my entire data, the agent is going to be lost. Then I'm going to add the front tool. Front is our ticketing system. So I'm going to allow my agent to be able to search in my conversations, send messages, assign conversation, change the status of the ticket, etc. And then I'm going to add what we call a trigger. A trigger is when my agent starts autonomously without a human. And the trigger here is new front message at the support email shows up. So whenever a new support ticket shows up, I'm going to tell my agent to search in our past conversations, data source and front tool for similar requests. And that's it. I'm done. It took me literally 2 minutes. I'm going to call my agent retail support adopt AI and save it. And now I'm going to test it. So I'm going to send an email to support@dust.tt, which is our real support email if you guys need anything, saying, okay, I forgot to unsubscribe, please refund me. Let's say I'm a user that has a voucher and a Fidelity account in your store, and I forgot to subscribe, to unsubscribe, and I just don't want my Fidelity account anymore, and I'm just going to send that. Can I please get a refund? I hit send, and now I'm in my ticketing system. I'm the Dust user, and I can see a ticket number at the top, and I can see directly, this is a Dust agent working right now. I can see that my agent is working on the right side here. It's taking already 4 steps. In just the few seconds it took me to talk. Then on the left side, you can see the search result summary, pattern analysis, recommended deflection strategy, etc. So it's thinking a lot, doing a bunch of stuff. And the important part here is that if you look at the bottom of the screen, there you go. Automated reply just showed up. My reply is ready and has been sent already. Thanks for reaching out. I'm sorry to hear you weren't able to use the service this month. While refunds aren't available for subscription renewals, etc. That poor guy will not get refunded, but we can see that the ticket has been resolved because the policy of our company right now is not to refund if you just forgot. There we go, 3 minutes. You can see the email was sent 3 minutes ago, and the answer was just sent. 3 minutes to answer my user. Looks like a human. A human will not do better in terms of getting the right information. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You can now listen to Chopin if you want. Thank you very much.